I fell for my best friend's older sister. To make her fall for me, I even did quite a few stupid things. My friend sighed and advised me, "Give up. My sister is cold-hearted and aloof. She's an ice mountain." Even she herself told me we'd never have a chance in this lifetime. Later, I got into a car accident. When I woke up, I'd completely forgotten those years I spent pursuing her. When she came to see me with my friend, I politely called her sister. Later, I took my new girlfriend to her birthday party. That night, she gripped my wrist, glaring fiercely at me. "Don't call me sister anymore." Lin Yuan could never understand why I fell for his sister. Even after I woke up from the accident, he kept nagging. "Since you've lost your memory, just focus on starting fresh. Don't keep thinking about people you shouldn't be thinking about." He handed me the peeled apple. I took a big bite. It was really sweet. Just then, the ward door opened, and a female doctor in a white coat walked in. She was my attending physician, Su Yuan. Her eyes crinkled, gentle like crescent moons. She smiled at me. "Looks like you can prepare for discharge." Having been laid up in a hospital for nearly a month, I was already impatient. Hearing those words felt like receiving amnesty. Just as I was about to cheer, the door was pushed open again. The woman who entered this time wore a black business suit. Her features were picturesque, her aura coolly elegant. The sound of her high heels on the floor carried an unquestionable authority. Seeing her, I felt an inexplicable flutter in my heart. I subconsciously looked towards Lin Yuan, but he sighed and stood up to introduce us. "Sis, you're here." The apple fell from my hand, rolling across the floor until it stopped at her feet. I gave an awkward laugh. "Lindsay, you never told me your sister was this beautiful." Lin Yuan facepalmed, seemingly embarrassed by my reaction. The woman, hearing this, frowned slightly. This expression made her look even more stunningly aloof. I couldn't help but marvel. Such a beautiful sister. If only she were my actual sister. Just as I was thinking this, she spoke. "Joamo, I hear you've lost your memory. That's fine. I'll treat you like a younger brother." My eyes lit up. "Thank you, sister." Lin Yuan lowered his hand, staring at me in shock. As for her, her frown deepened. In a coffee shop, through Lin Yuan's account, I learned just how obsessively I had pursued his sister back then. To put it simply, it was one-sided, relentless persistence. His sister's name is Lin Shui. She's 4 years older than us. She's currently the CEO of a publicly listed company. Once Lin Yuan and I went to her company to find her, and it was love at first sight for me. Lin Yuan sighed and took a sip of his coffee. "Seriously, I still don't understand how you became so obsessed with her." He hesitated, as if holding back something difficult to say. I, however, wasn't bothered. Since I'd already lost my memory, let those past events just drift away. Perhaps it was precisely because that pursuit was too painful that my brain chose to forget. That's fine too. At least the me now is a brand new me. Don't worry, this time I'll definitely just see her as a sister. Looking at his eyes, which were just like Lin Shui's, I half joked. "Do you think it's possible the person I actually liked was you?" Lin Yuan made a gagging face. "I'm not gay, dude. I suggest you get your brain checked again." Amidst the banter, the topic was dropped. But fate always likes to play jokes. Just as I was swearing I wouldn't have any more feelings for his sister, Lin Yuan suddenly froze, right at a table diagonally across from us. She was wearing a beige turtleneck sweater, her long hair slightly curled, her aura cool and detached. She was looking thoughtfully in our direction. There was a hint of smile in her eyes. I suddenly understood why I had fallen in love at first sight back then. Just sitting there, she drew one's gaze irresistibly. Elegance mixed with detachment, coolly beautiful, yet not without gentleness. But at this moment, I no longer felt my heart stir. Just worried that joke from earlier might cause a misunderstanding. It's strange, but seeing her now makes me instinctively want to flee. Looks like the aftereffects of the car accident are serious. Lin Yuan stood up reflexively. He seemed quite afraid of his sister, meekly walking over and calling out, "Sis." I had no choice but to follow. Hiding behind him, I greeted her softly. "Hello, Sister Lin." "Oh, why aren't you calling her Sister Shui this time?" A girl next to her teased. She took a sip of red wine, her tone mocking. Lin Yuan silently stepped in front of me. This subconscious act of protection warmed my heart. Lin Shui must have been gathering with her close friends. Besides the woman who had just spoken, the others were also looking at me with probing eyes. She probably knows pestering is useless and changed her strategy. Another woman murmured. The person next to her leaned in and whispered something. The two exchanged a look and smirked. Being talked about like this felt uncomfortable. But I didn't really care. Let them say what they want. It wouldn't hurt me. Lin Yuan, however, was clearly displeased and about to react, but Lin Shui cut him off. What brings you here? Her eyes landed on me, as if trying to see right through my soul. The question was directed at me. Did she think we had followed her here? I quickly explained. We saw it recommended online. This place has a good reputation, implying it was purely a coincidence. Lin Yuan also mustered his courage. Sis, Zhou Mo really has forgotten you. She chuckled softly, her gaze sweeping over the gauze on my forehead. She said meaningfully, forgetting is good too. I didn't know if she meant forgetting her was good, or forgetting that unrequited crush was good. But none of that concerned me anymore. It was a fact that I used to like her. It was also a fact that I was starting fresh now. I offered a polite smile. Sister Lin is right. Lin Shui's smile slowly faded, eventually settling into a blank expression. Her eyes were like deep pools, hinting at a chill within. After that, I didn't leave the house for half a month. When Lin Yuan came looking for me, I was watching a TV series. It was a recently popular romantic comedy. The male and female leads had intense chemistry, and I was hooked. The only problem was the slow updates, just 2 episodes a week. Watching this stuff has fried your brain. Liking these kinds of dramas like a girl. He looked at me with disappointment, as if I were a lost cause. Are you giving up on yourself just because of what my sister said? Hugging a pillow, I was baffled. Giving up on what? The screen froze on the moment the leads were about to kiss. I shifted my position. What are you talking about? Lin Yuan sat down. So, it's really not because of my sister? Ridiculous. This time, it was my turn to roll my eyes. I handed him the tablet. Look, this is the new series I invested in. Lin Yuan was surprised. Since when did you get into investing? I don't know. I scratched my head. A producer contacted me after I woke up. It must have been something from before the accident. Lin Yuan nodded. TV series production cycles are long, so that made sense. Soon, he too was captivated by the plot. When I woke up from a nap, he was somehow still watching, sporting dark circles under his eyes. My mouth twitched. Dude, don't tell me you pulled an all-nighter, and you were giving me grief for liking it. He grabbed my arm. Never mind that. Can you get me into the wrap party for this show? It was only then I realized Lin Yuan hadn't just binge-watched all the available episodes, but had also read the original novel. He knew the production team was having a wrap party next week. The production team had indeed sent me an invitation. He pestered me relentlessly, so I had no choice but to agree to take him along. On the day of the party, Lin Yuan was dressed particularly sharply. He wore a navy blue suit, his hair impeccably styled. He was already good-looking, but cleaned up like this, he looked more like a star than the actual male lead. All right, spill it. You've got a thing for the lead actress, haven't you? Lin Yuan pushed aside my questioning hand, solemnly swearing. I can still tell the difference between roles and reality. If he hadn't made a beeline for the lead actress the moment he arrived, I might have actually believed him. Still, with his advantages, liking a celebrity wasn't really a big deal. Holding a glass of champagne, I moved through the crowd. Navigating these kinds of social events is second nature to me. Even amnesia doesn't hinder my performance. But I suddenly understood why I had no memory of this show. Because I saw the investor representative. It was Lin Shui. I suppose back then, seeing that she had invested, I followed suit and put in some money too, hoping to get closer to her. After all, according to Lin Yuan's description, the person I was before the car accident was completely love-addled. She looked over at me from across the crowd, raising her glass to me from afar. A knowing look on her face, as if to say, "See, I knew you hadn't lost your memory." Panic surged in my chest, and I instinctively turned to leave, only to bump straight into someone. "Careful," a gentle voice sounded. I looked up. Dr. Su. She smiled. "What a coincidence. Are you here for the celebration party too, Mr. Zhou?" I shook my head. "No, I'm one of the investors." Su Yuan's smile faltered for an instant. "You're so young and accomplished, Mr. Zhou." Her reaction amused me, and my nervousness eased considerably. It turned out that because the show involved medical plot lines, it required a professional consultant. And Su Yuan's father was an authority in the medical field. However, he was extremely busy, so he had his daughter attend on his behalf. Only then did I realize that this seemingly ordinary doctor actually came from a prestigious medical family. The hospital where I'd had my appointment was actually one of her family's properties. I hadn't realized you were the one with hidden depths, Dr. Su. I raised my glass to her. Su Yuan chuckled softly. I'll take that as a compliment. Her slender fingers held the stemmed glass, the liquid swirling within it under the lights. Those hands were fair and slender, exceptionally beautiful. Perhaps it was the alcohol, but prompted by some strange impulse, I said, Dr. Su, has anyone ever told you that your hands are beautiful? Su Yuan paused for a moment. Far from being annoyed, she actually stepped closer. Is it just the hands that are beautiful, or is the entire person? She was very close. Her eyes locked directly onto mine. A peculiar sensation washed over me. My breath hitched slightly. Just as I was about to speak, my wrist was suddenly grabbed, and I was pulled away with considerable force. Looking up, my gaze met Lin Shue's tense jawline. Her voice was low. Mind the setting. I found her words baffling. We were clearly maintaining a perfectly reasonable distance. Besides, her grip on my wrist was so tight, it was already leaving red marks. Lin Shue, you're hurting me. I tried to pull free, but to no avail. The usually gentle Su Yuan's smile vanished. She said gravely, Mr. Zhou said you're hurting him. Lin Shue sneered. This is a private matter between us. It doesn't concern Dr. Su. What are you doing? Lin Yuan walked over, his gaze darting between the three of us. Only then did Lin Shue release her grip, whispering in my ear, Don't leave afterwards. I need to talk to you. Only a fool would wait for her. The moment the celebration ended, I made a hasty retreat. Back home, I collapsed onto the bed, finally feeling relieved. 2 photographs sat on the bedside table. One was a photo of Lin Yuan and me together. It was taken when we first met, 2 young boys with radiant smiles. In the picture, I was missing a front tooth. Lin Yuan and I had met at the hospital. My craving for sweets had given me cavities, but I was too scared to see the dentist. In the waiting room, I met another boy who was also there for his teeth. He told me that if I just tied a thread around the tooth and gave a hard pull, it wouldn't hurt. I fell for his ridiculous story. The thread snapped, but the tooth stayed put. We became friends after that. Our parents took that photo for us a week after we met. The other photo was from our university graduation. We were in our graduation gowns, with Lin Shue standing between us. Her features were delicate as a painting, her expression serene. My face flushed slightly, and I looked rather awkward. The background was blue sky and white clouds, but I can no longer recall how I felt back then. Looking back now, perhaps it was just a momentary impulse. After all, I've always been one to judge by appearances. His sister was so beautiful. It was only natural for me to fall for her at first sight. But I never expected Lin Shue to come looking for me. It was raining outside when she arrived downstairs. The flowers on the balcony were all drooping, beaten down by the rain. I was moving them inside, pot by pot. Glancing downstairs inadvertently, I saw Lin Shue, still in her outfit from the celebration party, holding an umbrella and looking up. Perhaps it was the dim light, but I thought I saw a trace of hidden anguish in her eyes. Nevertheless, I went downstairs, invited her in, and handed her a towel. Sister Lin, is something wrong? It's so late. Lin Shue simply asked, Why didn't you wait for me? I explained in a low voice. I suddenly remembered something urgent. For some reason, whenever I was alone with Lin Shue, even the largest space felt confining. There was a strange sense of pressure. Outside, the rain fell harder, raindrops pattering against the window pane. I stood rooted to the spot, twisting the hem of my clothes with my fingers. Lin Shue's expression changed abruptly. What are you afraid of? Her voice was low, anger almost bursting forth, yet forcibly suppressed. 2 fingers lifted my chin, forcing me to meet her gaze. That face was stunningly beautiful. Wet with rain, it held an added icy allure. It made one involuntarily hold their breath. I didn't know what I felt at that moment, only that I wanted to pull away. Sister Lin, have you been drinking? She closed her eyes briefly, saying with restraint, I drove myself here. I haven't been drinking. A lie. I had clearly seen her clinking glasses with people at the party. But now, I didn't dare say more, afraid something I said might provoke her. I couldn't understand where the me before the amnesia found the courage to pursue a woman like her. Lin Shui tilted her head slightly, her breath brushing past my ear. Joamo, how about you pursue me again? Her words hit me like a blow. I immediately took 2 steps back. My calf hit the coffee table, making me gasp in pain. Sister Lin, you must be drunk. I explained flusteredly. I promise, I only see you as Lin Yuan's sister now. To show my sincerity, I even raised my hand as if taking an oath. Just like my own sister. Lin Shui's face turned cold. I only have one younger brother, Lin Yuan. I gave a dry laugh. Yes, of course. The Lin family status within their circle was second to none. If I hadn't known Lin Yuan since childhood, given my family background, it would have been difficult to even interact with people of their social standing. What I just said did sound like I was trying to curry favor. I quickly corrected myself. President Lin, rest assured, I will definitely get along well with Lin Yuan and won't bother you. Lin Shui closed her eyes. I could feel her temples throbbing. Luckily, Lin Yuan had previously warned me when talking about his sister that Lin Shui liked to test people. She was very insecure. A terrible person to date, best not to fall for her. Looking at it now, his understanding of his sister was quite thorough. Perhaps if I just explained clearly, she would believe I really didn't like her anymore. Oh, right. I opened my wallet to show Lin Shui. Look, I've already taken your photo out. She stared intently at the empty photo sleeve, then suddenly asked, "Where's the photo?" I froze. After I woke up from the car accident, it was precisely because of this photo that the hospital was able to contact Lin Shui. But Su Yuan said it was Lin Yuan who came the end, because Lin Shui thought my accident was just another ploy to get her attention. After waking up and seeing that photo, I returned it to Lin Yuan. Lin Shui's voice grew even colder. The photo, where did it go? My fingers trembled slightly as I answered honestly. I gave it back to Lin Yuan. Lin Shui's face turned deathly pale. Her gaze was sharp enough to kill. I couldn't help but flinch. Sister Lin, are you all right? Just then, another flash of lightning outside the window snapped her back to reality. She pressed her lips together and turned her face away. Strands of hair fell loose, making her look somewhat disheveled. Now, she should believe I no longer have any romantic feelings for her. She left quickly that day, but the next day, she came down with a high fever. Lin Yuan's voice was filled with disbelief when he called. Lin Shui had always been in excellent health. Previously, she could still push through work even with a 39-degree fever. But now she was lying weakly in the hospital. Old Joe, want to come see my sister? After thinking about it, I decided to go. It felt like the polite thing to do, to pay a visit. Only when I reached the hospital did I realize I'd forgotten to bring anything. I quickly bought a fruit basket nearby. To show sincerity, I deliberately chose the largest one. It was just a bit heavy. As I walked through the main entrance of the hospital, I saw Su Yuan holding a medical chart. What's this? She looked me up and down, then smiled. Such a huge fruit basket. If you tripped, you could open a fruit stand. I grinned. Lin Yuan said his sister was sick, so I came to visit. Su Yuan raised an eyebrow. Shall I take you there, then? I'd be delighted. I smiled. This way, even if there was no one else in the room, it wouldn't be too awkward for me. At least I could find an excuse to leave early. Su Yuan offered to help me with the fruit basket. I took the medical chart from her in return. In the elevator, she asked, "Does your head still hurt?" You mean like when I was hospitalized? I shook my head. When I first woke up, I felt dizzy and nauseous every day. It's mostly fine now. It's just that whenever I try to recall the past with Lin Shui, I get a sharp pain in my head. Over time, I stopped trying to think about it. Su Yuan nodded. Contact me anytime if anything feels abnormal. She sighed softly. Perhaps when the blood clot in your brain dissolves, you'll remember your past with Lin Shui. What did you say? Just then, the elevator doors opened and Lin Yuan was standing outside. Seeing the fruit basket, his first reaction was also to ask why I bought such a large one. I said defensively, "Isn't this standard for visiting patients?" Lin Yuan had a strange expression. Finally, he sighed. Never mind. This is fine too. Only after entering the hospital room did I understand Lin Yuan's expression. because the fruit basket looked utterly ordinary here. Besides fruit, there were all sorts of flowers. In comparison, my gift seemed perfunctory. But Lin Shui didn't seem to think so. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. But when her gaze fell on Su Yuan, her expression darkened again. Sister Lin, are you feeling any better? The standard greeting for visiting a patient. A flicker of disappointment crossed Lin Shui's eyes. Lin Yuan nudged her lightly before she adjusted her expression. I didn't stay long, just exchanged a few pleasantries. As I left, Su Yuan silently followed me. It wasn't until we were out of the elevator that I finally couldn't hold back. All right, spit it out. What is it? Su Yuan looked uncharacteristically awkward, touching her nose. Sunlight streamed through the glass, making her eyes sparkle. Are you free for badminton this weekend? After saying it, she gave a couple of fake coughs, looking quite uncomfortable. I stepped closer to look at her, taking 2 steps forward. She instinctively stepped back, then seemed embarrassed and immediately stood straight again. Dr. Su, don't tell me you've never asked a guy out before. Su Yuan's ears turned red. She raised her voice. How could that be possible? I pretended to be annoyed. Ah, so Dr. Su is playing the field. Sorry, not interested. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my wrist. Her voice was low and husky, tinged with grievance. There's no field. I'm the one being caught. Suddenly, sunlight pierced through the treetops, stinging my eyes. My heart pounded like a drum. The bustling world around me instantly fell silent, leaving only the fierce thumping inside my chest. We arranged to meet on her day off. Su Yuan was dressed in sportswear, looking just like a top-achieving senior student from university. She came straight to my building to pick me up. The sight of her standing beside her car made my breath catch. I'd never seen this side of her before and wasn't quite used to it. Her gentle demeanor was even more pronounced. Have you been waiting long? Just arrived? Su Yuan naturally took my racket and opened the car door. I thanked her. The car didn't smell of disinfectant, but of a faint mint fragrance. Refreshing and crisp. I don't like the smell of disinfectant. It makes me feel like I'm still at work. Su Yuan seemed to notice my confusion and explained with a smile. I chuckled at my own thought. I thought doctors would be used to disinfectant by now. The car started and pulled smoothly into the road. Su Yuan's laughter followed. That's a stereotype. When we arrived at the sports field, I got out first to wait for her. I didn't expect to run into Lin Shui here. Strange. Didn't Lin Yuan say I used to be the one chasing after her? How come we keep bumping into each other now? Just how persistent was I before I lost my memory? Did I really have to follow her around all day long? Remembering what she'd said, I felt a little awkward. Sister Lin, what a coincidence. She had already walked over. Pretending not to see her was impossible. I had no choice but to greet her with a smile. Lin Shui's gaze lingered on me, the corner of her lip curling slightly. I didn't expect you being a badminton. Lin Shui's question was reasonable. Anyone who knows me knows I'm hopeless at sports. Any sport I try turns into a disaster. Except running, though I always finish last. But at least that counted as exercise. I scratched my head. Su Yuan offered to teach me. The moment I finished speaking, Lin Shui's smile froze. Expressionless, she walked past me. The lingering tension told me. She was furious. But why would she be angry about me playing badminton with someone else? It made no sense. Su Yuan had a court reserved here, and we played a few games, though I barely managed to hit the shuttlecock back. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. Su Yuan didn't mind at all. The biggest difference between her and Lin Shui was her emotional stability. No matter what happened, she always faced it with a smile. She never left me to face difficulties alone. It was the same now. She patiently coached me. Just returning one shot is progress. Su Yuan kept smiling gently. Seeing I still wasn't getting it, she stepped behind me, maintaining a proper distance to demonstrate the grip. Although there was space between us, her feminine scent instantly enveloped me. I gripped the racket tightly. My whole body stiffened. I wondered if she could hear my heart pounding like thunder. My cheeks were burning. Suddenly, a figure rushed over and pushed us apart. Lin Shui punched Su Yuan directly. The force was so strong that Su Yuan stumbled and fell. I hurried to help her up. Are you okay? Then I glared at the tall figure. What do you think you're doing? Lin Shui looked incredulous. She has bad intentions. Bad intentions? She's teaching me badminton. Can't you figure out what's going on before you start hitting people? Su Yuan got up, rubbing the spot where she was hit, and gave a calm smile. It's all right, Joe, M.O. She lowered her eyes, looking completely unperturbed. The calmer she acted, the guiltier I felt. This was completely uncalled for. Yet the perpetrator stood there, arguing vehemently. Joe M.O., don't be so naive. This woman only got close to you because she has ulterior motives. I was livid. Why did she have a talk about Su Yuan like that? We were just interacting normally. Why did she have to make it sound so sordid? Do I have to spend my entire life revolving around her? Burning with anger, I spoke bluntly. Miss Lin, you're just my friend's sister, not my sister. Even if something was going on between Su Yuan and me, what business is it of yours? Besides, it's not like I'd be getting the short end of the stick, would I? Lin Shui stared at me. Her eyes filled with hurt and humiliation. How can you treat me like this now? I sighed. Miss Lin, I've forgotten how I pursued you, and I've forgotten whatever I might have said. But I know one thing, you definitely don't like me. I paused for a moment before continuing. So, my affection clearly caused you trouble, but I promise you it won't happen again. In the empty stadium, my voice was exceptionally clear. I really won't bother you anymore. Not now, not ever. On the way back, Su Yuan kept glancing sideways at my expression. When we got home, she finally couldn't help but ask, Zhou M.O., do you really not like Lin Shui anymore? I turned to look at her. Why doesn't even you believe me? Su Yuan pressed her lips together, her expression complex. Because your brother told me you once said you wouldn't marry anyone but Lin Shui. I chuckled. That was before. Now, am I supposed to marry someone who will never love me? Hearing this, Su Yuan's expression relaxed slightly. Actually, there's something I've always wanted to ask you. What? Since you don't like Lin Shui anymore, how about considering me? Su Yuan's confession was too sudden. The small car cabin instantly fell silent. I couldn't help but swallow. You don't mind that I used to like someone else? Will you continue to like her? I shook my head. Su Yuan smiled. Then why should I mind? Strange question, strange answer. My face started to burn. Actually, you like me too, right? Su Yuan moved closer. I looked into her eyes, bright as stars as she looked up at me. Her gentle voice echoed in the car. I like you, Zhou M.O. I never knew my name could sound so beautiful, clear, and pleasant to the ear. I didn't pull away. I gently cupped her cheeks with both hands. Then, I gently kissed the corner of her lips. In the end, she took the lead. When I called Lin Yuan, my lips were still swollen. You what? His reaction was huge. After a moment, he clicked his tongue in amazement. I was wondering why, Dr. Su was so attentive to you. So it was premeditated. He hung up and initiated a video call. I only showed my eyes, not daring to reveal my whole face. He didn't seem to care, excitedly asking for details. When we talked about the conflict at the stadium, Lin Yuan suddenly went silent. What's wrong? I just remembered. It's my sister's birthday next week. His eyes darted around. You probably haven't prepared a gift, right? Of course I hadn't. On Lin Shui's birthday, Su Yuan and I gave a joint gift as a couple. Being in a relationship is great. You can even save on one gift, Lin Yuan remarked. I grinned and said, when it's your birthday, we'll give 2 gifts. Lin Yuan laughed. That's more like it. The birthday party was as boring as ever. After Lin Shui blew out the candles, I was pulling Su Yuan to leave. Just then, someone suddenly shouted, Lin Shui, this pair of bracelets is really special. Who gave them to you? All eyes focused on them. The pair of silver bracelets had an exquisite letter L engraved on them, shimmering under the lights. Lin Shui suddenly looked at me with a mysterious smile. I immediately had a bad feeling. Sure enough, she said, a certain little friend gave them. The ambiguous term ignited the crowd. Lin Yuan immediately looked at me, and I subconsciously looked at Su Yuan. She said nothing, just tightened her grip on my hand. Not enough to hurt me, but enough to show her feelings. She was angry. Midway through the noisy and bustling party, surrounded by the sounds of laughter, cheerful chatter, and the clear clinking of glasses, I inexplicably noticed that Lin Shui was gone, so I went off alone to find where she was. Down a spacious corridor, past several corners adorned with exquisite art pieces, I finally arrived at the door of her room. Pushing the door open, the first thing I saw was Lin Shue's somewhat lonely figure. She was leaning back on a soft sofa, holding a crystal-clear wine glass in her hand. The amber liquid inside swirled gently under the dim yellow light. "Joemo." She looked up, her gaze meeting mine. Her voice carried a hint of intoxication, seeming somewhat hazy and unreal. For a moment, I saw a flicker of surprise in her eyes, swiftly obscured by some complex emotion. She slowly rose, her footing slightly unsteady, yet she struggled to maintain her balance. Then, she lifted her slender wrist, adorned with the exquisite bracelet, which shimmered with a soft glow under the light. "Your birthday gift? I love it." Her voice carried a hint of a smile, yet it seemed to conceal endless bitterness. I frowned slightly, my heart filled with confusion, because I had no memory of this gift. "Sister Lin, I don't remember giving this to you," I said truthfully, my tone tinged with bewilderment. "Of course you don't remember." She gave a bitter smile, then downed the wine in her glass in one gulp, the action swift and resolute. Immediately after, her grip loosened, and the wine glass fell onto the thick carpet with a muffled thud, like an echo of her shattered state of mind at that moment. Just then, I heard Lin Shue's voice tremble slightly, as if she were struggling hard to suppress her inner emotions. "You had this custom made abroad a year ago." She paused, took a deep breath, and continued, saying you'd spotted it while traveling with Lin Yuan, and, after a long wait, it has only just been delivered to me. Hearing her words, I finally turned my gaze towards the coffee table, where an order form lay quietly. The paper was already somewhat yellowed, and the writing had faded with time, becoming blurred and indistinct, but I recognized at a glance that the style of the paper was precisely the type I usually favored. She suddenly covered her face, her body trembling slightly, her voice thick with choked sobs. "Tell me, how ridiculous am I?" Her words, filled with self-mockery and helplessness, echoed in the quiet study. Perhaps it was the effect of the alcohol, or perhaps the long-suppressed emotions had finally found an outlet. Lin Shui completely broke down. "Actually, it's not that I don't like you, Joemo." She lifted her head, her eyes full of pain and struggle. "But your fascination with my looks is too blatant. I always couldn't help wondering, if one day my beauty fades, would you still love me as you do now?" As she spoke, she took a step towards me, her footing unsteady, seeming somewhat out of control. "Now, seeing you with Su Yuan, I feel like I'm going crazy." Her voice bordered on despair, as if being swallowed by an abyss of pain. Lin Shui gave me no chance to retreat. She strode forward quickly, forcefully seizing my wrist, the grip so strong it felt as though she wanted to embed me into her very life. She forcefully pushed me against the wall, her movements tinged with a frenzy and recklessness. Then, she buried her head in the crook of my neck, her warm breath spilling onto my skin, her body still trembling uncontrollably. "Joemo, I regret it. I should have accepted you sooner. Please, don't be with Su Yuan, okay? Sister Lin." I tried to speak, wanting to comfort her, wanting to say something to ease this awkward and painful situation. But before I could finish speaking, she abruptly lifted her head, her eyes fixed intently on me, filled with anger, pain, and resentment. "Don't call me sister. I'm not your sister." Her voice was almost a roar, as if resisting something. I had never seen her lose her composure like this. At this moment, she was no longer the poised, elegant, calm, and collected Lin Shui I knew, but more like a wounded child, hysterically railing against the unfairness of fate. "But you are." I looked at her calmly, my gaze holding a trace of helplessness and pity, then sighed softly. "Regardless, I've already forgotten that relationship." I spoke slowly, my voice exceptionally clear in the quiet space. As for the bracelet, it was a gift from the Zhou Mo of the past. But the Zhou Mo of today, his gift is downstairs with Su Yuan. Hearing my words, Lin Shue's body instantly stiffened, the expression on her face freezing solid. The light that had flickered in her eyes instantly extinguished, replaced by utter stillness. Her face turned ashen gray, as if all vitality had been drained from her in that instant. Yes, what could be more painful than being trapped in memories, watching the one you love walk away, powerless to do anything. In that moment, the study was filled with endless sorrow and despair, as if time itself had stopped for this broken relationship. After that intense confrontation with Lin Shui in the study, time flowed by like a murmuring stream, slipping away quietly. I actually didn't see Lin Shui again for a long time. Lin Yuan would occasionally come over for a visit. Every time I asked about Lin Shui's situation, he would always brush it off, saying she was away on business. But I could clearly detect a trace of loneliness in his eyes. Her solitary figure made even me, an outsider, feel a pang of sympathy for her. Although he and Lin Shui were siblings, their personalities were vastly different. Lin Yuan was lively and outgoing, while Lin Shui was always cool and reserved. One time, I couldn't hold back any longer and recounted to Lin Yuan, detail by detail, what Lin Shui had said to me in the study. I had expected him to curse me out and break off our friendship, but who would have thought? He instantly flew into a rage, launching into a 3-hour-long sister-bashing session. His words flew out at incredible speed, one term after another tumbling from his mouth, none repeating. From Lin Shui's indecisiveness, to her muddled handling of relationships, to the foolishness of getting herself into such a painful situation, he spared nothing. Finally, clenching his teeth, he forced out 2 words, "Serves her right." After that, it was as if he'd cut himself off from any news of Lin Shui. He never mentioned her situation to me again. I could sense that he actually cared about his sister deep down, but that care was mixed with too much helplessness and frustration at her inability to improve. Now about Su Yuan. The matter of the bracelet was laid bare between Su Yuan and me that very night. I couldn't quite say why, but a voice deep inside told me I couldn't let her be unhappy because of the tangled mess of my past with Lin Shui. Even though nothing substantively intimate had ever happened between Lin Shui and me, from beginning to end, I still hoped Su Yuan wouldn't mind. The two of us just sat there on the sofa, talking back and forth, chatting the whole night through. The dim yellow light illuminated our faces. Outside, the occasional sound of a passing car only emphasized the quiet within the room. Su Yuan listened intently, occasionally asking questions, her eyes full of trust and understanding. The next morning, as sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, she went off to work looking refreshed and full of energy, like she'd been fully recharged. I, on the other hand, was exhausted, rubbing my aching back and silently cursing her a few times in my head for keeping me up. But I couldn't help the slight smile playing on my lips. After all, being able to clear the air with her felt like a huge weight had been lifted from my chest. Life went on uneventfully after that, simple yet warm, like a gently flowing brook, no dramatic waves, but full of the warmth of everyday life. Ever since that TV show became a huge hit, Lin Yuan seemed to have found a new lease on life. He was buzzing with energy like he'd been shot full of adrenaline, dragging me around to invest everywhere. His investment criteria were particularly simple and crude. If he saw the lead actress in a show was pretty, he'd invest without hesitation. If the lead actress was exceptionally beautiful, he'd charge right ahead and become the biggest investor. When it came time to settle accounts at the end of the year, the result was rather comical. He hadn't made or lost any money. Income and expenses had balanced out in a strangely perfect way. Unlike him, I'm more cautious. When investing, I prioritize the quality of the script. Sometimes, when I come across a supporting role I particularly like, I can't resist making a cameo. Over time, I gradually gained some fame among netizens, becoming the golden supporting actor everyone knows. Every time I see netizens praising my acting online, I feel delighted inside, and I increasingly enjoy the feeling of experiencing life through different characters. As for Su Yuan, she was busy at the hospital, working towards a professional title promotion. Every day, she strived to balance her work and love life. With her good personality and sweet appearance, she naturally had no shortage of suitors at the hospital, but she turned a blind eye to all of them. To make it clear she was taken, she deliberately placed our photo together in a prominent spot on her desk. Whenever I gave her a gift, she would show it off throughout the department like a child, her proud expression as if she had received a large banner of commendation. Over time, she became well known in the hospital, known as the representative hopelessly devoted one. Whenever someone asked where Dr. Sue was, her colleagues would calmly reply, Dr. Sue. She took leave early to be with her boyfriend. Thanks to her efforts, those frequent WeChat messages gradually died down. I have to say, when it came to maintaining our relationship, she was truly impeccable. On a cold, snowy day, snowflakes drifted down outside the window, blanketing the world in a layer of white. Inside, it was warm as spring. I gently held Su Yuan close. She sat quietly beside me, holding a medical journal, her eyes focused on the dense text, occasionally frowning in thought. Meanwhile, I held my tablet, engrossed in a new drama I had invested in. The room was extremely quiet, with only the faint sounds of pages turning and the tablet playing video. Jo Mo, Su Yuan suddenly said softly, her voice breaking the silence. I responded, my eyes still glued to the tablet, thinking about the plot's development. Let's get married? Her voice was very soft, but it struck my ears like a clap of thunder. I froze instantly, the tablet nearly slipping from my hands. For a moment, it felt like something was caught in my throat, and I couldn't speak for a long time. Seeing my lack of response, Su Yuan couldn't help but look up. Her gaze unexpectedly met mine, and in that instant she saw my eyes were moist. I looked at her, my heart filled with emotion and joy. Proposing, I should be the one saying that. I hugged her tightly, my arms strong, as if trying to meld her into me, like holding the most precious treasure in the world. At this moment, the snow continued to fall outside, but the warmth inside seemed ready to overflow. Our future, too, in that instant, became incredibly clear and beautiful.